No one told me I was using the wrong systems, and that's why I couldn't lose weight. Sound familiar? You're on your 50th attempt, obsessing over every bite, grinding at the gym, then breaking your plan when it all gets too hard. Most advice? Eat cleaner, work out harder. That's like driving a malfunctioning car and trying to fix it by slamming the pedal harder. That's insane. But that's exactly how the weight loss industry wrecks you. Because their no pain, no gain mentality fools you into thinking you are the problem. The truth? Those who succeed don't double down harder or have more discipline. They build 4 microsystems that make doing the right things automatic. And if even one of these breaks down, your whole journey stalls, no matter how much harder you push. I'll show you which of these microsystems keeps failing you and how to fix it so you can finally lose weight and stay there. The number one problem? Most people start by fixing the wrong system first. Here's how it goes. On day 1, you're on fire. You're tracking calories, hitting your workouts, and eating clean, feeling unstoppable. This is your fat loss self at the wheel. Fast forward 30 days, it's 10 p.m. and dinner's long gone. And somehow, you're barefoot in the kitchen with ice cream in hand. Just one bite becomes, I'll restart tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next month. Now your dopamine self is at the wheel. Sound familiar? Smash that like button so I know I'm not the only one. At this point, if you're like me, you throw out your plan and switch to a better workout or meal plan. But that's system 2. What's system 1? Let's start with what caused the switch between day 1 and day 30. The bandits' stress, boredom, and social pressure hijack your fat loss self and put your dopamine self behind the wheel. So what you need to do is rescue your fat loss self and put it in the driver's seat again and again, because the bandits are going to keep hijacking your fat loss self. You need to create a system, a motivation system. How do you do this? You need to first think back to what was the moment that finally pushed you to take action on weight loss. Was it a health scare? Noticing your clothes didn't fit? Whatever it was, in that moment, you were crystal clear on why this mattered. That why is your trigger, and you can surface it every day, not just when a crisis forces it. But watch out for 2 pitfalls. First, chasing the wrong why. Take Margaret, one of our clients. Her first why? To look better. But it left her frustrated and resentful since reducing foods she craved didn't feel worth it just for looks. Until one coaching session changed everything.
Somewhere in all of that, in the coaching, I had laid out all of the reasons why being thinner doesn't actually matter to me. And you said, it sounds to me like you don't want a smaller body, you want a bigger life. And that was like an earth-moving realization for me. So fitting my tactics into, okay, well, does this get me a bigger life?
But even the right why isn't bulletproof because of pitfall number 2. Your environment is louder than your why. If your Instagram feed is glamorizing fat diets or friends keep saying, just relax, have another slice, that noise drowns out your why. It's like trying to sing your favorite song while someone blasts death metal into your headphones. In engineering, we call this your signal to noise ratio. If the noise, your environment, is louder than the signal, your why, then even the best message gets lost. The simplest solution? Cut the noise. Unfollow toxic accounts and limit time with unsupportive people. That said, you can't just mute everyone, like coworkers or family. For these folks, you'll need skills like setting boundaries, redirecting conversations, or protecting your mental space when you can't change the people around you. But if you want to fast track this, check out the link to our Unstoppable Motivation Challenge, linked in the description below. But motivation alone is like a car with a full tank, sitting pretty. You need to use up that fuel by taking action to move forward. But everywhere you look, the list of actions grows. Cut sugar, fast, eat protein, exercise daily. I'd go from 3 sodas a week to 0. 0 workouts to 1 every day. And eating whatever I want to a strict meal plan. But then busy weeks and vacations would wreck my plan. I was flooring the gas pedal on rough roads as if every week were smooth highways. That's why sustainable weight loss isn't about doing all the healthy habits at once. It's about boiling them down to just 1 to 2 actions that get you maximum results at your current body fat stage, so you can keep doing them even on your busiest days. And that's what system 2, the execution system, is all about. But how do you figure out your 1 to 2 actions? By working backwards. First, you need to define what enough results look like. Because without a defined outcome, you slip back into doing everything. You don't know when enough is enough. Studies showed that's 0.5 to 1% fat loss per week on average, not just weight loss. Use my body fat tracker in the description below to track your fat loss. Okay, now what do you do to reach this outcome? Since you don't have data on your body yet, start with this one minimum target which we have found works for most people. Aim for a 15% calorie deficit, of which at least 18% comes from protein. After this video, use my calorie calculator in the description below to find both your targets. And no need to exercise for now unless you love it. But it's possible this minimum target is still not minimum enough for your body. To know if this is the case, you also need to track your body's reactions as you meet that target. Every week, rate your satiety and cravings as low, medium, or high. But what if you find your cravings are high? We have found for each person, there's always just one main reason for them, which if you fix, gets you 80% consistent to meeting your target and therefore meeting your outcome. But on day one, you don't have data on your behaviors to pinpoint this one main reason. So your highest leverage action is to get that data by using the point and call method. Every time you're about to eat something, say out loud, I'm about to eat food out of hunger or craving, and then eat if you still want to. Sometimes it stops you, sometimes it doesn't, but either way, you learn what conditions drive you to eat. And once you get to system 4, I'll show you how to use your data to pinpoint your one main reason and fix it. But knowing the conditions isn't enough. You need to collect data on your why so you can fix it in system 4. Because you must have noticed how even when you can spot your triggers and plan ahead for them, when the moment hits, autopilot takes over. And you do the exact opposite of your plan. Why does this happen? Tara, one of our clients, was trapped in the cycle. She had her why written down, she used point and call. On paper, she was doing everything right. But at work, she'd grab donuts after a stressful meeting. At home, she'd polish up the kids' mac and cheese while cleaning up. Out with friends, she'd plan to order a salad, but end up splitting the nachos. Seeing no pattern in when and where it happened, Tara blamed herself. I just don't have self-control. But when we asked her to write down her exact thoughts right before she slipped, a pattern emerged. I already went over calories, so just start tomorrow. I couldn't succeed the last 10 tries, so why bother now? I blew it at lunch, no hope for the rest of the day. It wasn't about self-control at all. Tara had an all-or-nothing program running in the background. If I can't do it right, then I've failed. But telling herself, just stop thinking that way, didn't work. Because this belief wasn't by choice, it was wired through decades of reinforcement. Forget a detail at work? See, you always screw up. Go over calories? See, you can't stick with anything. Every slip was like strengthening a failure magnet, pulling her choices in the same direction, over and over. But it's possible to redirect that pull through system 3, the reprogramming system. 3 steps. First, spot your root limiting belief. Write down your verbatim thoughts right before you slip. These reveal your hidden beliefs, the real problem beneath surface thoughts like, I just don't have self-control. The next step is to invert them into a supportive one. But here's the catch. If it doesn't spark emotion, it won't stick. So instead of an unbelievable to her affirmation like, I'm great at following plans, Tara landed on this. Every imperfect day is an opportunity to practice becoming someone who doesn't let setbacks hold her down. That clicked, because to her, it felt believable and like freedom. But one new belief can't erase decades of programming. You need receipts. So we helped Tara collect as much proof as possible. Went over calories but logged it anyway? Proof I stayed in the game. Overate at lunch but chose a balanced dinner? Proof I can rebound fast. At first, slips still happened more than wins. But with each proof she stacked, the balance shifted, until one day she noticed she was bouncing back by the very next meal. Share your unique situation in the comments and I'll pick 5 to personally respond to. But you could be bouncing back faster and yet not make progress because the targets in the execution system aren't personalized to you. Or maybe your bounce back reverts to being longer and longer because your why or limiting belief turned out not to be the root cause of both systems. I'm sure you've seen new habits work just because they're new and exciting, but then peter out as you keep going. At this point, most people freak out. They either double down on what's not working or burn everything down and start fresh. But this is natural. The question isn't if you'll stall, it's what you do when it happens. What's been missing for you is system 4, the course correction system. It starts with asking at the end of the week if you met your outcome. If yes, then here's the hard part. Make 0 changes. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. resist the temptation to add on more healthy habits because you're high on how great you're doing. Now, if you didn't meet your outcome, ask a fork in the road question. Was it a follow-through issue, meaning you didn't meet your targets, or a plan issue, meaning you met your targets but saw no fat loss? Having coached thousands of people, we see it be a follow-through issue 90% of the time, even when people think they're doing everything right. So let's dig into that fork first. Your step one to fix this is to spot your limiting factor, meaning what's blocking you from hitting your target. To make this super concrete and actionable for you, I'll break down how we did this for my client Rita. Social eating wrecked her. The moment food hit the table, she'd go into monster mode, like her brain shut off and someone else was driving. She felt doomed, thinking her only options were either a total reset or intensive therapy. But instead of nuking everything, we ran her struggle through the 3 earlier systems to generate ideas. Heads up, it's normal to generate several ideas at this stage, maybe 5 or more. Don't worry, we'll narrow them down later. First, the motivation system. Rita's why was still compelling, but the social noise was drowning it out. Every time she went out, the smell of pizza and clinking glasses overpowered her why. So we brainstormed 2 ideas for this. 1, ask friends to help hold her accountable. 2, read her why before any social event. Next, the execution system. We had no reason to believe that if she met her targets, she wouldn't meet her outcome. So targets stayed the same. Her body's reactions were also all solid, except for cravings. And we could dig into her high cravings because she had collected data through doing the point and call action. We saw that often she wasn't hungry. She just ate what was in front of her. So we brainstormed 2 mitigation actions to interrupt this knee-jerk reaction. 1, plan her order ahead of time and create a speed bump. Before grabbing anything unplanned, nibble veggies or sip water, then wait for 10 minutes. If she still wants it afterward, she can have it. Finally, the reprogramming system. We looked at Rita's self-talk. The words monster mode, animalistic behavior, and needing intensive therapy pointed at an underlying belief that she couldn't control herself. That belief kept winning because she didn't have enough proof to argue back. So we gave her one last strategy. Mentally rehearse like athletes do before big games. Vividly picture herself making the right choice at social events, so her brain collects proof before she even sits down. At this point, we generated 5 different ideas. That's a lot. So the last step is taking them all through the execution system's central question. What are the 1 to 2 highest leverage actions that get you maximum results at your current body fat stage, so you can keep doing them even on your busiest days? Some fell apart right away. Friends weren't reliable, reading her why was effective 20 to 50% of the time, and planning ahead didn't work for surprise events. Speed bumps could work if the pause was long enough to let her rational brain come back online. But here was the root issue. If she didn't actually believe she could overcome social overeating, then none of the other strategies would stick. Now the ranking was clear. We locked in the top 2 as her highest leverage actions to try for next week. And a week later, Rita shared that both the mental rehearsal and the speed bump actions helped her survive a work trip that included many buffets, not one monster mode eating session all week. I felt like a goddamn superhero. But beware about picking the wrong limiting factor. Like Rita, Lisa was also overshooting her target by 1,000 calories a day when she first joined our program. But unlike Rita, running her data through the 4 systems resulted in a completely different limiting factor.
What I thought were my biggest problems were making bad food choices. And you said, well, actually, the upstream problems are you're not sleeping enough, you're too stressed, and you're not managing the stress properly, which is what is making those bad decisions.
Did you catch that? She thought her limiting factor was food, but it was really sleep. Turns out she was getting 5 to 6 hours per night, which triggered the whole overeating cascade later in the day. Think of it like architecture. The laws of physics are identical, whether you're constructing the Empire State Building or the Sydney Opera House. But the final buildings couldn't look more different. In the same way, your body runs on the same systems as anyone else's, but the outputs of those systems will be uniquely yours. So how do you figure out quickly the outputs for your body? Or what if you have a plan issue? You have 2 options. 1, if you want my help shortcutting through all the trial and error and locking in the right plan for your body and lifestyle, learn more about my weight loss program in the comments and description below. Or if you want to DIY it, then you don't want to miss our most shared video here. It walks you step by step through how to customize your own weight loss plan. Because every day you double down on the wrong things is just wasted effort. So you don't want to miss the complete step-by-step breakdown here. And always remember, you can do it.